Can you close your eyes for a minute? I'll tell you a short story. Just listen and imagine with me. I'll let you know when I finish, okay? You ready? Sometime in the future, you're facing a dashboard and are fully awake, but you can't move a single muscle in your body. There are machines moving around. A robot is walking over to you, cutting open your skull and inserting a device into your brain. Then the upload begins. All you ever know, your memories, your first steps, childhood, first love, first kiss, disappointments, happy moments, everything that makes you who you are. Your consciousness is being converted into digital data and transferred to a machine-like new body, to a robot. Then the upload ends and you open your eyes, only to find yourself in your new body. You watch your human body dying from a distance. The body you've been in your whole life is dying. The eyes you viewed the world through are closing down for eternity. You watch the robot throwing this biological waste, your body away. Now you're the same person in a different body. Or are you? Right, open your eyes. How do you feel? Excited? Happy? Confused? Scared? This is a scenario, or it used to be, one we're familiar with from several sci-fi movies and books. But many people have no doubt that this scenario will become a reality in the near future. Now, what do we call it? Transhumanism. Let's start like Memento, shall we? Start from the end and then go all the way back. Technological singularity is our key phrase here. It seems to be the ultimate destination of the humankind, like Nirvana. It was Ray Kurzweil who mentioned it actually. He seems kinda obsessed with all this. When he uses the term, he talks about artificial intelligence, big data, automation and stuff, but he believes that at some point we'll reach a stage where no one knows what's next. It's like teaching physics. You give the formulas, questions and solutions. But when you come to a conclusion, you're like, we don't know what's next. This is magic, a magical thing, a spell. I've been thinking about it since I first heard it. How is this possible? How is it that we don't have a next move? I think we do. We must have an answer. Sorry, Mr. Kurzweil, I refuse to accept questions with no answers. So, the endpoint seems to be technological singularity. But how are we going to reach there? Let's take a closer look here. I think we can come up with an answer. What's hiding in the dark? Let's discuss together. A short definition of transhumanism is the theory that science and technology can and will help human beings develop beyond what is physically and mentally possible at the present time. Now, we call this physically, mentally, and socially advanced person transhuman. In other words, superhuman. Superhumans are our human-like great-grandchildren who will remember our current selves as cognitively and physically primitive characters. There are 5 important stages humanity needs to complete to be able to realize this dream. It would be pointless to define ourselves as transhuman without reaching each milestone. In the first stage, the human mind and brain will be improved through hardware. Actually, we're experiencing this stage right now. Wearable technologies are the most important sign of this. We're improving our bodies and capacity via smartphones, watches, pacemakers, and so on. But this is nothing compared to stage 2. Because in stage 2, you'll have a copy of your body that you'll be able to remotely control. A surrogate of yours will live your life and you will direct it. If you watched the movie Surrogates, you know what I mean. It's a set in a universe where people live through their surrogates to avoid dangers. Oh, let's not spoil the movie here. Consider this as a movie recommendation to better grasp the stage. Alright, fast forward now. In the stage 3, the human brain will be physically transferred to an artificial body. You will directly live in another body at this stage. In stage 4, your mind will be uploaded to another artificial body without the need for a physical transplantation. The world we imagined at the beginning of the video will look like this. In the 5th and the last stage, the humankind will not require a physical body anymore. Your mind or your consciousness will be completely transferred to an artificial universe. Welcome to Matrix.
Mr. Anderson, welcome back. We missed you.
Now, you might think it took thousands of years for humanity to reach stage 1, but the speed of technological developments is immense now. So, We can say it won't take thousands of years to reach the coming stages. I know it won't happen tomorrow, but we might see stage 2 or 3 earlier than expected. But it will take really long to reach the final stage, because the only problem is not the speed of technological developments. If that was the case, you see, the scenarios we talk about are like paradise. I mean, all nations would come together to speed up the process. But the problem is not only technological, it's also ethical. Transhumanism gives rise to countless ethical dilemmas. Even trivial problems can cause the humanity to end. Or we may end up with a scenario where only a handful or privileged people can take advantage of. I will talk about these ethical dilemmas at the end of the video, but I want you to pay attention to a recurring phenomenon in the stages of transhumanism. Have you noticed that? The idea of artificial bodies is the basis of almost all developments here. In fact, works on this artificial body started long ago. You know, the Boston Dynamics robots. We know they're mostly aimed for manufacturing and workforce, but we can comfortably say they will contribute to the artificial body with their incredible motor skills. But artificial body idea in transhumanism is not only about jumping around. Think about everything you can do with your body right now. All fine motor skills, mimicry, reactions. All these skills must be simulated and will require a reliable source of energy to power this body. But one day, we'll see some first prototypes of the artificial bodies. And it's always been the case. These prototypes will be slow, clumsy, and huge, with risks of malfunctions now and then. But someone will have to try them, right? Would you dare? To me, the first adopters will be people with disabilities who are unable to use some or all functions of the body. People with paralysis maybe. They might be willing to take the risk. But if they survive this, they'll be the Yuri Gagarins of the modern ages. They'll be remembered for centuries to come. What about these bodies are improved so much that they have or even exceed all human skills? Here we have one of the most important problems with transhumanism. Probably the people with Iron Man-like bodies will be the billionaires. People in search of an eternal life, the immortality. For instance, Kanye West might be one of the first adopters of these perfect artificial bodies. Doesn't sound fair, right? But it's true. Movie stars, billionaires, one can only imagine where they can take their completely customizable bodies. Your new body doesn't have to look like a human. You might choose to become a mechanical cat. Or, I don't know, can you imagine what Lady Gaga can do? Wow. All these might sound absurd, I agree, but these are possibilities, and they're really possible. Now, let's take a breath here. Transhumanists say all science fiction movies will become a reality. Alright, everyone can choose the body that they want. You can even live as Justin Bieber. I don't know why anyone would do that, but okay, anyway. All biological restrictions will be eliminated. You'll be able to upgrade your body, even get rid of the body altogether. At this point, we'll be talking about immortality. Your mind, your identity will live forever in digital. The question here is, how? How is this even going to happen? Without too many technical details, I want to say that there's a significant milestone to be reached: decoding the human brain, the most difficult challenge of the human history. We can understand and explain the universe, the black holes and etc. to some extent, but we're not even close to understanding how the brain works. What I mean by decoding the brain is that we need to simulate the billions of neurons with billions of connections. The functions of all clusters of neurons must be understood and modeled. An artificial brain must be created, and all the information stored in the brain must be smoothly transferred. And there's this issue of energy. How can we power this highly complex artificial brain continuously and reliably? Lots of questions here. But let me tell you about two people here. People who dedicated all their lives to this. People establishing companies, making investments to copy the human brain. One of them is Randall Cohen, the founder of Carbon Copies, a company working on copying the human brain. The other one is Dmitry Itsko, a 37-year-old Russian billionaire. He is the owner of an initiative called 2045, and there is a reason why it's called the 2045 initiative. He believes we will be able to control a robot body remotely by 2020. By 2025, the human brain will be transplanted to a type of avatar. By 2035, the human mind will be uploaded to an artificial body. By 2045, we will be able to have a hologram body. I mean, the physical world will no longer be necessary. You remember the 5 stages of transhumanism we talked about, right? Dmitry is an avid supporter of transhumanism. As you can see, there are people, companies working on these absurd-sounding possibilities. Besides these 2 initiatives, there are other open or secret works in process. Billions of dollars are being spent as we speak. Elon Musk's Neuralink is another example here. It might not sound a totally innocent initiative after all. In fact, we don't know if the whole idea is innocent or not, because there are numerous ethical questions to be answered. The questions that make you and me a little bit scared. Clearly, it's a matter of when, not if, for many people. It's going to happen. But the whole transhumanism idea marks the end of the world as we know it. The idea of government, economy, health, socialization, relationships, everything. For instance, the identity notion may lose its meaning, as we will see hundreds of Brad Pitts in the street. How are we going to recognize people then? When there's a crime, for example, how are we going to know who committed it? Alright, let's say we somehow figured this out. What about the emotional identity? You know, our flaws, past experiences, failures, pains. They all make us human. What happens when we don't have any flaws? When we don't make mistakes? When we know everything? When we can do everything? Are we gonna find the ultimate happiness or end up with a completely dull world? Think about gender. You can be either woman or man whenever you want. You might say this eliminates the gender discrimination. It's true. Sounds great, but what would the world look like when you can switch genders whenever you feel like it? Pleasures. Another issue. Think about a hot shower after a tiring day, watching sunset, eating your favorite food, holding your significant other's hand. Imagine all these pleasures are a thought away. You can experience them all in an instant, whenever you want it. Are these pleasures the same when they are so easy to reach? On the other hand, there's this problem of money. What are you going to do when your artificial body is out of date? When you cannot afford a new one? You know this pay to win in online games, where you don't really stand a chance if you don't have the money. Now this will be a real life problem. What will happen when you can't afford a better processor, more memory, or accessories required to upgrade your hardware? We can comfortably say that money, as we know it, will no longer be relevant. Of course, there's a possibility that everyone gets equal rights to reach all technologies. A kind of utopia that all companies work for the equality of humankind, but you know what I mean. Greed, one of the fundamental flaws of the human mind. What about population? We might think reproduction is an animal instinct, and we won't need to reproduce when we're immortal. But what if it is deeper in our genes than we think? How are we going to have kids in our artificial bodies? The DNA information can also be transferred in the process, and artificial intelligence can produce kids that look like us. That's a possibility, but what kind of creatures will these new artificially born breeds be? Can we also transfer morals? Damn, there are too many questions, right? And I can think of hundreds of more when I think of it, so let's wrap it up. Transhumanism is a possibility. Some say we'll live long enough to see it happen, while others say there are hundreds of years before it happens. But it's a possibility. While scientists are trying to make humankind healthier and stronger through genetic engineering, the mad investors of the Silicon Valley are trying to get rid of the physical body in pursuit of immortality. Artificial intelligence, neuroscience, engineering, nanotechnology. All these fields are contributing to this goal indirectly, and all findings will be gathered in the future to realize this dream. Now you might ask, what do you think? What do I think? I can say many of the initiatives are extreme childhood dreams that have no chance to become reality, but improvements we see today in artificial intelligence, machine learning, nanotechnology, they all make me think that the human brain will be decoded one day. And I think this will be the breaking point. It won't be finding out what was before the Big Bang or figuring out the dark matter. It will be decoding the human brain. After that, I think what happens next will be at the mercy of the billionaires. If they want a fair world, we might get our utopia. And if they yield to the temptation of power, I think you know the possibilities. Let me ask you, what do you think? Do you think transhumanism is a sound possibility? If so, should we expect a utopia or dystopia? Let's talk in the comment section. And shall we meet here next week? Bye!